Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I'll be talking about 5 players who can thrive under both Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur. Before we get started today, just wanted to mention you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, please make sure to check out the podcast Just Jets. It drops every Monday. And of course, you can check out the merch store link down in the description below. All right, so I am clearly still very excited about the Robert Saleh hire for the New York Jets. He's officially going to be introduced tomorrow on Thursday, so I'm going to have a lot of quotes, I'm sure, to break down and dive into after that press conference. But what I wanted to do today was talk about 5 players, or one's going to be positioned, you'll see, I'm going to cheat a little bit, who are going to thrive under both Saleh and LaFleur. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. Coming in at number 1 on my list, the quarterback. And no, I am not naming a specific player, because whether it's Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, or Zach Wilson, I believe that any one of those 4 can be successful in this system with Mike LaFleur because how much of a quarterback-friendly system it is. I mean, look at what they've been able to do in San Francisco the last 2 years, and they'll be taking that offense from out there and bringing it here to New York. Things you could expect: a ton of play action, which is a quarterback's best friend, a good running game based on a rotation of running backs, which makes life easy for your quarterback, scheming guys open, which seemed to be impossible for Adam Gase to do, cutting the field in half, having the quarterback roll out, which any of those 4 quarterbacks that I listed can do that, roll out. To me, again, Zach Wilson ran this offense almost to a T at BYU, which is really exciting and why I would like the Jets to draft him. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is the goal, because if you bring in a top 5 quarterback as is right now, that would be really intriguing. But I'm confident that the New York Jets could get any of those 4 players to thrive. With I guess Darnold's the one that I'm least confident in those 4. But look at what Jimmy G did in his one full healthy season in San Francisco. He had an 8.4 yards per attempt, 248.6 passing yards per game, 27 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. He was fairly productive, and that team went to the Super Bowl. So I think they could get even more out of the guys that I just listed below. Sam Darnold, again, is a little bit risky, but if you are to salvage his career, maybe it would be Mike LaFleur who could do it. I'm not willing to take that risk, but I'm going to say the quarterback, and specifically Watson, or the 2 that you could draft. Coming in at number 2, I'm going to go with Chris Herndon. Yes, he just had 287 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns this year, but I think he could thrive in this offense. I mean, look at what Kittle did for them. And no, I'm not saying that Chris Herndon is going to turn into a top 3 tight end in the sport, but I think he could absolutely be productive in this offense. Kittle was a 5th-round pick in 2017. No one anticipated him breaking onto the scene like he did, and he turned into a legitimate star in year 2. And I think Herndon, who does have talent, who showed it in 2018 and flashed it at points this year, really missed all 2019 with the suspension and injury. I don't think Adam Gase knows how to use tight ends. I am still not convinced that he knows how to do it. And this offense can run through a tight end. I think they could do a little bit of everything, which I'm excited about, because in the past with Adam Gase, was just very specific, stuck to, okay, I'm going to run my feature back into the A gap and I'm going to feed my slot receiver. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case with LaFleur's offense. I think they're going to get creative with it and spread the ball around, which excites me and should excite a lot of Jet fans. And Chris Herndon is definitely someone who I anticipate reaping the benefits of that. Hand up, I predicted that he would have over 700 receiving yards this past year, and boy, do I look dumb. But I'm going to double down on that in 2021 if he is back and the number 1 tight end. I think he could be a very productive tight end in the league. Give me Chris Herndon over 700 receiving yards. Sure, we're probably going to look back on this in a year from now and say, what the hell was Matt talking about? But who knows? I think Chris Herndon is definitely someone who can be freed post Adam Gase, and I'm looking forward to him in a real offense. To the defensive side of the ball, we'll go for this 3rd one, and no, this is in no particular order. It's just 5 guys. Quinnen Williams coming in at number 3. He took big strides from year 1 into year 2. Slimmed down, went from 2.5 sacks up to 7 in 13 games, 55 tackles. And I absolutely believe that if he plays a full 16-game season next year, he could be a double-digit sack guy in this system, and especially if they have any inkling of an edge presence here. He's done a lot, really, without having much of an edge. I think the defensive line as a whole could really thrive, but what Robert Saleh likes to do, he gets aggressive with his defensive line. He kind of sends them after the quarterback and says, all right, go get him. And I absolutely think that someone like Quinnen Williams, who could pin his ears back and just go after the quarterback, would be extremely successful. John Franklin Myers, too, would be on this list. But Quinnen, to me, is just the one that stands out the most to me on the defensive side of the ball. And the reasons are for that. I think they do address edge in free agency in the draft. They have to. They really have to. That's a huge need for this team. And adding a little bit of speed would make life so much easier for Quinnen on the inside. But even still, with the poor situation at edge, he had a phenomenal year in a much worse system under Greg Williams. Coming in at number 4, I have Bryce Hall. He started 7 games for the Jets, had a 59.9 Pro Football Focus grade. He was a 5th rounder, and I think he has some upside, and I really think he can be a starter for this team. You look at what Robert Saleh was able to do from really a ton at the cornerback position, where he was missing his best one in Richard Sherman on the outside. He missed a majority of the year. Jason Verrett, he had 6 games in the last 3 years before this year, was extremely solid this year. Played in 2020 at a 77.6 Pro Football Focus grade level. He was really good. How about Witherspoon? He was a 3rd rounder in 2017, had an 80.2 Pro Football Focus grade. Quinnen Williams, Dante Johnson. They got a ton out of these guys who are mid-round picks and playing legitimate snaps on the defensive side of the football. And he got a lot out of these guys, which gets me super excited because I like a coach who's able to develop players. The Jets have done a really bad job of developing players because they've been so poorly coached for a long time, and I really think that Bryce Hall does have talent and big upside. I would not be surprised if he is a starter in 2021, and I think he could be pretty damn good as well in this Robert Saleh system. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have him in here and working with a guy like Saleh. And last one for me is the running backs, but specifically I want to talk about Ty Johnson because he's the best running back currently on the roster. This past year, he averaged 4.7 yards per carry, had just 254 yards, but was in a really bad system where they continued to give Frank Gore, who was well past his prime, and at this point probably undeserving, unfortunately, a ton of touches. Like I said, he's the best running back on the roster, but I think he will be used in a rotational spot next year. What I personally would do, I would run Johnson, P. Ryan, and then sign a mid-level free agent running back, Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, someone like that, and have that be my running back trio. I think you could absolutely get by with that. He'd technically be my 2nd running back, I guess, but he would still get a ton of touches. I think, here's my bold prediction, I think he has over 600 rushing yards in 2021 and averages over 4.2 yards per carry if he's in this system and gets the touches that I think he should. I really liked him. I think there's some upside there, and maybe you have a little player. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets used all 3 running backs on their roster next year. I don't anticipate them drafting one early, so sorry to all those Travis Etienne and Najee Harris fans, and I don't anticipate them spending big money and bringing in a guy like Aaron Jones or signing someone like Ingram, who was just cut by the Ravens. I think they're not going to put that much assets in that basket, which I'm okay with, absolutely, and I think Johnson, specifically out of this running back room, could be really solid and a sleeper for this Jets team next year. And there's a lot of other guys. You can go down this whole list and pretty much you could pinpoint just about every single position where there's a chance for guys to get better. But these 5 in particular, with the quarterback position being my cheat one, seem the most obvious to me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below on what either players or positions you're looking forward to seeing Mike LaFleur or Robert Saleh work with, and get after me on social media too at Matt O'Leary NY. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.